while we're talking about education, I think you had a very interesting kind of like college progression, everything from Tony Robbins in your freshman year to then, other things happened. How would you say your college experience led to you becoming a founder?
Yeah. Well, I went through the education system as we all do. I went to college as well, studied computer science at Texas A&M University. But I think like most people, I was very frustrated by my experience with the education system, right? Where it kind of like you're forced to like kind of like memorize things. You don't feel like as creative, as free. You want to work on your like own side projects, but like school can like take away time. Sometimes like you're learning something and you don't really know why you're learning this thing. You just like lack autonomy, creativity, and all these things that are very valuable. So yeah. I mean, I took this to an extreme as well in the sense that I ended up doing something very unethical in hiring people to do my homework when I was in college. Why? Because I had gotten a full-time offer from Goldman Sachs, which I did an internship with. I was in my last year of college. I was doing a startup, my previous startup, Vise. It was like a glass store for factory workers in Mexico. I was doing that, working on that. I felt that it was so meaningful. I was learning so much. I was the CTO, leading a team of engineers, just growing tremendously. And then I had a school in the way that was getting in the way. It was like getting these homework assignments that like really didn't feel that valuable. I felt like I was learning way more technically from like actually building the startup. So I made the unethical decision of prioritizing my values for growth and impact over my value for integrity. And I think that was like, in essence, the core mistake that I made in hiring people to like do my homework. Ended up getting caught, got suspended from school for a year. It was really bad. My parents were like, yo, what the fuck? Like, my dad is a doctor and my mom is a microbiologist and professor. So super like high, well-educated people and very high integrity people. So they could not understand like how this happened. I told Goldman Sachs what happened and they were like, yo, like we need to see what we're going to do. 2 weeks later, they rescinded my offer. So I lost the offer. Best of all, I went back home to live with my parents for some time because I had a year off, I guess. And the only thing I had was the thing that sort of got me in trouble in the first place, the startup. And my parents like were, why are you working on this? Like this hasn't gone anywhere, which like true. We didn't really have like meaningful results. And the startup, the only thing I felt like I had, like we had just lost our best engineer. It'd been 2 years with no significant traction. Yeah, it's like everything seemed so great at one point and it just completely crashed the next point. I went on a silent retreat the day I got suspended from my university. And it was really transformative in the sense that I got to reflect deeply about like what had just happened. And there's a lot of things that I learned, but the two core things I mentioned, one of them, that the core mistake was that I valued impact and growth so deeply that I gave up my value for integrity, which I think is a very tempting but very dangerous thing to do. It taught me to be like more authentic and true to myself. And the other thing is that I realized, and this is like where all the personal growth that I had done. So I, went to a Tony Robbins seminar when I was a freshman in college, was super transformative, changed so much for me. And this was like the first real big test that I had of like, holy shit, like everything's like downhill. How do we pick ourselves back up? And, I realized at that point that it's like, yeah, I can feel sorry for myself and like feel so bad for like what I did and the consequences. But with any new detour you take in life, you have the opportunity to turn whatever path you're on into a golden path, a path of opportunity. And so I realized, wait a second, if I have to go back to school, that means that I can do more internships and I have like way more time to prepare for them as well and like leak code my butt off. And so I did and leak coded like crazy. I ended up doing like 38 interviews with 19 companies and got rejected from almost all of them, but ended up getting offers from LinkedIn, Meta, Google, and another company.
Almost all the thing.
Yeah. It's pretty funny how like most of the normal or like average companies like rejected me, but maybe I prepared better for them by the time I got to them. And so, yeah, did internships with LinkedIn, with Facebook, was exceptional. I was like, Goldman Sachs was cool, but this was like a whole nother level. It was really cool. But what that taught me was that, wow, the only real failure in life is a failure to learn. Because if like you're gonna fuck up, especially if you're like a founder or you have like high risk appetite, which I do, which gets me in trouble sometimes, but is kind of like core to my nature. But you're gonna fuck up, you're gonna fall down, you're gonna do stupid shit, you're gonna sometimes do things that lack integrity, hopefully not too often, and hopefully you learn from those. But the most important thing to me is to like, is not that thing was a mistake or a failure, but rather that the only real failure is not taking the opportunity, the golden opportunity to learn from those mistakes. So yeah, that was a core mindset that I developed, and things I think turned up much better because I approached the whole situation with a growth mindset and looking for the opportunities and growing where I could.